I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. Some activities require low temps, and one art form that requires the freezing cold is ice carving. Watch as one artist creates temporary sculptures on ice. Washtenaw County Parks and Rec hosts the annual Ice Carving Festival at County Farm Park, with one sculptor burning through the ice with power tools, crafting brief beauty with large blocks of ice.
I think the most interesting thing about ice carving is the creativity that goes into it, creating something out of a square of nothing.
The festival had more than just visual arts. There was food and fun for the whole fam.
It's a really great gathering. They've got a lot of things going on. There's a petting zoo, there's food trucks, coffee, hot chocolate, place for the kids to play, all around fun.
Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. The city is known for being inclusive for all travelers. Cars, bikes, and pedestrians can safely navigate the downtown. And since 2019, there have been some major changes to roadways to create a place for cyclists to ride free. Find out why riding a bike may be a top option for visiting the downtown.
Today we have Bikeapalooza, and this is an event that the DDA has put on to celebrate the progress we have made on the protected bikeway network downtown, and to use this opportunity to talk to the public about safety elements along the bikeway.
The education they're doing today and their experience riding in from town, it seemed like it was a step in the right direction, getting the protected lanes.
We want to support the biking culture, to show people that there are a lot of interested bicyclists in the city, and that we're here to support the infrastructure initiatives.
I'm so excited to see so many people here. We have face painting, we have our friends from the Ann Arbor District Library doing homemade buttons, we have David Zinn doing some chalk art, and we have chalk art for the kids. We have a spinner game where you spin a bike wheel and you win a prize. We're giving away bike helmets.
It's just a good way to get people outside and get some exercise.
It's just a great way to get around town. I work for the DDA.
Yeah. The Downtown Development Authority will hold the 2024 Bikeapalooza on Saturday, May 25th from noon to 2 p.m. Interested in how the many departments of city government function? The Ann Arbor Community Academy gives residents a chance to experience that firsthand. Learn more in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi, my name is Sarah Lanise with the City of Ann Arbor Clerk's Office. Today, I'm going to tell you about the Ann Arbor Community Academy. The Community Academy is a program where community members interested in the city's long-term plans and day-to-day operations have a chance to participate in interactive sessions with city staff across different departments. City staff hopes participants will be motivated to play a more active role in shaping the future of Ann Arbor after participating in this program. Graduates from our academy are highly involved in our community and currently serve on City Council, the City Planning Commission, the Public Art Commission, and as election inspectors. You can find more information, including how to sign up, at a2gov.org/A2CA.
Distracted driving is a real problem throughout the country. We all have experienced someone on the road not fully aware of their surroundings because their eyes are transfixed on a device. One mother that lost her teenage daughter due to distraction behind the wheel worked to create change through Kelsey's Law. Joining me is Brandon Hewitt, attorney and COO of Michigan Auto Law. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Can you first tell us what Kelsey's Law is?
Yeah, so Kelsey's Law was established back in 2013, really by the efforts, sole efforts, I will say, of Bonnie Raphael, who is just the most amazing woman. Sadly, she lost her daughter in a distracted driving crash. Instead of folding up and just kind of closing in on the world, she did something about it and really campaigned aggressively. Again, pretty much by herself with the Michigan legislature. She got this law passed back in 2013, which restricted or prohibited teenage drivers from using their cell phones in the car. And it applied to all drivers with a graduated driver's license who are teenagers, levels 1 and levels 2. And it really just spearheaded the movement to help reduce distracted driving in the state of Michigan. And we saw that kind of expand last year with expanding out to all drivers in Michigan, but it was all born out of a tragedy from Kelsey Raphael and really brought to life by her mother.
Yeah, I know here in Ann Arbor, we've had to be hands-free for quite a while, so I'm always like terrified to like touch my phone while I'm driving because sometimes your phone in your car Bluetooth don't pick up. And then is there rules for that too? Like, can you be, using your phone as long as it's on speaker if you're speaking to somebody or?
So that's the caveat. So you can if you're not a teenager. So teenagers are not allowed to use their cell phones at all, right? So the idea is, look, they are young drivers. They're just learning how to drive. We want zero distraction. The law that was passed last year applies to all drivers for handheld devices. You can use Bluetooth, but you are limited on your handheld device to basically use one touch. Now, how do you regulate that and how do you actually, identify that somebody's touching their phone more than once? I don't know. But the law is that you can use Bluetooth, you can use hands-free as long as it's going through your car's system, but you cannot have your phone up to your ear. You certainly cannot be texting.
Have you noticed a change in the stats since this 2013 law passed with teens and distracted driving? I know it's like such a hard thing for everyone. Like I'm sure as a parent, you're like trying to like, don't use your phone while you're driving. It's the law, but also don't do it because it's super dangerous. But you also aren't with your kids when they're driving.
Yeah, it is hard to tell as far as data, as far as changes go, what's working, what's not working. Sadly, you have more people on the road, right? And you have more people who are using their cell phones. So that's just the bottom line. Unfortunately, as a society, we're not getting any less addicted to our phones, right? So these measures that come into place, whether it's Kelsey's Law with just teenagers, the 2023 law applying to all drivers, it's hard to tell exactly what's working and what's not, but it doesn't mean that we should stop the efforts, right? So I think it's going to take a little bit of time, especially for this new law in 23, to really flush out the data. We'll probably get a good understanding of that. Unfortunately, probably not until 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road. And that's really, it takes that long for the Highway Traffic Administration in the state to release that data and to gather it. So it might be a little while before we realize that information. For teenagers, we think it's making a difference. We really do. We are seeing, crashes go down for them a little bit, but, they are such a small population, but they make such a huge part of the number of crashes and distracted driving crashes. It's very important to speak to them specifically.
I'm not trying to knock teenage drivers because I was a teenage driver once, and I know the majority of the accidents I got into were when I was a teenager. Because you learn with your parents, you take driver training, but then when you're by yourself, it's a totally different game. And if you have a friend in the car, I'm not sure what the law is now about. Are you allowed to have one friend in the car when you first get your license or?
So, yeah, so I agree. We're not picking on teenagers. We just think that this is the right age group to develop early good habits, right? Not bad habits. By the time you get to my age, you've already got bad habits, and you're if we can learn those good ones up front, that's the idea here, right? As far as the actual law, I believe on their first level graduated license, there's no passengers unless it's a parent or an adult licensed driver. Those restrictions do ease as they graduate to a level 2 license, and then of course as you get your full license, less restrictions there. But yeah, we were all teenagers. And if we're honest with ourselves and each other, we're all terrible drivers.
Oh my God, totally. Well, the way I see this law is the hope is like how we all think about click it or ticket now. Like I get in my car, I literally could drive 30 feet, but I'd have my seatbelt on. So I would hope that, ingraining this law into teenagers would sort of be the same thing. Like put your phone in your middle console, get rid of it while you drive.
You nailed it on the head. That really is the best analogy that we've been making, and that I think anybody can really think about. When 50 years ago, seatbelts weren't required, right? And now nobody even thinks about it, right? It's just part of what you do. It's in every car. It's just what you do. Same thing with smoking on airplanes, right? It used to not even be a thing, and then all of a sudden it got put in place, and people had this huge uproar and like, how dare you? And tell me that I have to wear a seatbelt. So it's kind of that same lines. There's a lot of pushback, right? A lot of people are very hesitant to give up that control, I suppose, or sense of independence. Also, there's obviously a privacy concern. They don't want police pulling them over and searching their phone to see if they were texting. All that's understandable, but when you start talking about the weight of a society interest in protecting the public and protecting mass amounts of people, car crashes are still the #1 killer of people in the United States, as far as accidents go, especially teen drivers. So we're not talking about, just some little pet project or some niche or some person in the legislature who just doesn't like cell phones. This is a societal problem. And hopefully as we get 5-10 years down the road, yes, it's just known and taken for granted at that point that you just are not allowed to use your cell phone in the car. It's going to take a while to get there, but that's the idea.
Well, we were talking about Bonnie and her story with Kelsey. To me, Bonnie's like a superhero. I mean, tragic loss. And she was like, I am going to change things for everybody because of what I went through, which is like just an amazing attitude. And I'm sure she had to do a ton of work to get this law changed in 13. But there's also like a scholarship aspect to it now too. So like high school kids can get money towards college because of Bonnie.
Yeah. So she is a superhero, and she is the real deal. In person, she's the same stunning person as you see on TV and in the legislature. She did do this by herself for the most part. We wanted to help give a voice though to her efforts. She fought with the legislature and campaigned in silence alone. And we wanted to take that out into the public as much as we can with our platform, show at people the efforts that she's making, and then, parlay that, compound that into even greater efforts. So, you have the law that is, I suppose the stick, right? If you do this, you're going to get in trouble. That's the law. We want to provide the carrot, right? Do this, help share the word so that you don't have to worry about getting a ticket, so that people just don't do this stuff. And also, we want to talk to the teenagers, and we want the teenagers to talk to each other because they don't want to hear from me. They don't want to hear from the grownups. We all remember like the drinking and driving seminars and assemblies in high school, and like old people telling us what not to do. It doesn't work. Right. So this is kids talking to kids. They know how to get to each other and to, deliver the right message. So that's the idea behind the scholarship.
Well, why don't we take a look at the Kelsey's Law Scholarship Best Overall Video Submission from 2023 by Joshua Schmitz.
Yes.
You wouldn't perform your job distracted. Look out, you're gonna... Ah! Oh, my finger! Careful there. One wrong move and... So why would you drive distracted?
We're back with Brandon Hewitt with Michigan Auto Law. We were just talking about the scholarship for Kelsey's Law and how you guys are giving money to deserving teens that are putting the word out there, that a word we can't put out there. We're too old now. So there are multiple scholarships that you give away, right?
Yes, yes, you're right. So as cool as we are, as I think I am, my kids have a different viewpoint. But yes, there's multiple scholarships. So there's multiple scholarships within this scholarship. We also do scholarships for a diversity scholarship and car accident victim scholarships, just so people know. But for this particular scholarships, there's going to be multiple winners for distracted driving. There's going to be a best graphic, a best video. The winner of last year, as you just saw, a best, we say tweet, but really a post, now for X or whatever it's going to be in the next 6 months. And then there will be an overall winner. So 3 separate winners and then an overall winner. And really my favorite part about it is that Bonnie picks the winner. So we'll
she's
select
the judge.
She does. So we'll select the finalists in early April, but Bonnie will be the one who actually chooses the winners.
So criteria, do they have to be in a certain grade, go to a certain kind of school? Is it all just Michigan high schools?
Yeah, so it's pretty open. So 11th or 12th graders this year. So either graduating this year or in 2025. Any Michigan high school, doesn't have to be public high school. It's going to go towards tuition for college, obviously. So we work with the winners and help make sure that money gets funneled to their school. You can apply it to books or tuition or whatever it might be. As far as the submission parameters, it's pretty open. Just give us something compelling, right? Something that, is entertaining or, moving, attention grabbing, anything like that. And I mean, these kids don't need to be told that stuff at this point. I mean, they're so good. And that's the other reason we love to do the teenage scholarship, because the stuff they come up with is so much better than I could ever come up with. And, it gets better every year. So really excited to see what comes, as far as submissions comes out this year. And it's always just fun to review them.
How many years has this scholarship been available? And is the deadline always sort of the end of March?
So this is our 9th year. Yep. And so the deadline is March 31st. And again, we'll go through all the submissions in those first couple of weeks of April, narrow it down to our finalists. The finalists will be notified privately, and then again we'll pick the winners with Bonnie near the end of April.
And how do people submit? Is there a website they go to?
That's the easy one. So it's michiganautolaw.com/scholarships. You can also just go to michiganautolaw.com, find your way to the scholarship. You can also search Kelsey's Law Scholarship. But michiganautolaw.com, that's the easiest thing to remember, and /scholarships will get you there. It has all the rules, and fine print there. But again, we're really excited to see what gets submitted this year and see what blows us away.
It's actually really cool to think about that we're telling people not to use their cell phones, but then they're like, use your cell phone and you'll get a scholarship. But don't use it when you're driving, which is like something I completely am on board with 100%. I don't think anyone should be using their cell phones at all when they're driving. But I think that you're right. It's, as someone that works in video production, when I see the stuff that these younger kids can do, it's amazing, because when I was young, you didn't have a cell phone with a camera in it to do everything you wanted to capture. This is something that's now happened in the last decade plus. And they are coming up with really amazing stuff because they're learning how to do this so young. I mean, they're probably like getting a phone at 10 and making videos and editing them that same year.
Yeah, the curse is the distracted driving aspect of the cell phones. The gift is definitely the ability to make some really amazing high quality, video and graphic production. And I also want to state, like, look, this is obviously directed towards teenagers, and geared towards them, and hopefully we can help them. But let's be clear, this is not a teenage problem. This is an everybody problem. And so, for the parents, the adults out there who are seeing this stuff and noticing and are going to share the scholarship with their kids and encourage them to apply, what we can do is model good behavior, right? So we can't create the great production or get the scholarship, but we can show them what it's like to be a responsible driver. Like you mentioned in the beginning, put your cell phone away. I know that I'm addicted to my phone, right? And it's every time you get a ding or a buzz in your pocket, you automatically want to look at it and pick it up. So if you know that about yourself, it's not going to be enough to just tell yourself, I'm not going to drive distracted, right? I'm not going to look at it. What you should do is turn it on silent, turn it off, or put it in your glove box to where you don't see it. And so you take that temptation out of the way, and show your kids, like, this is what you do. You can preach to them all day long to be a responsible driver, but if you're taking them to soccer practice or to school and you're reading emails or you're responding to text messages while you do that, actions are worth a thousand words. And so they're not going to listen to you if they see you doing what you tell them not to do.
Well, we're just about out of time, but I would like to say that I want to thank Bonnie personally because I think that she's saved a lot of lives already. And in the future, there's going to be a lot more saved. And what she went through is the worst tragic thing that could ever happen to anybody. And she made it so she would help other families forever. And that's
Yes.
like an amazing gift.
Yeah, yep. I'm thankful every day that I got to meet her and know her, and she really is the epitome of one person can make a difference. And it's a beautiful thing to see it. When we get so down about the news events and what's going on in society and everything is so sad and pessimistic, seeing a story like Bonnie's, turning tragedy into triumph, it's really compelling and motivating. And yeah, she really is a special person. We need more people like her.
Well, I want to thank you, Brandon, for coming on the show, talking about all these distracted driving issues and their different scholarships. Because this one's we're really talking about Kelsey's scholarship today. But like you said, if you go on the Michigan Auto Law website, there's other scholarships available too. And I think these sound like pretty easy scholarships to get too. They're not real tough ones where you're writing, a 30-page essay or something like that.
They are. We love giving away money to kids. So yeah, go apply and get some money and, go to school and, help make a change in the world.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching and tune in next time to FYI.